Do we often have a choice in life? Most people have lots of choices. That means they can do whatever they like. They can have the options to live the life they want to live. But there are people that do not have those options. There are people that have very little options. That means they have to do what they must do legally to survive. Now, if you were born with silver spoon, or maybe your life came on a platter of gold, and you are having to have life the easy way without having to do the extra work that most people do to survive, then you are one of the lucky few. But life isn't always as easy as that, because life always includes so many things, such as having to find your own way, your own pathway in life. And finding your pathway in life can sometimes be a little bit difficult, especially when you are not gifted with a solid foundation of inheritance, of maybe coming from money or having been born into money. Most people are not so lucky, but then again, they are lucky. When you are born into money, maybe your parents or you came from money or from old money, that can derail you because you tend to fall into a lap of luxury. You tend to start a life with a sense of complacency without having a direction in life. But have, when you don't have that resource, that initial source, you tend to be more focused on how to make something of yourself. You will notice that a lot of people that grew up with money or whose parents have money tend to often, fall on the wayside of life, meaning they tend not to do so well compared to those who did not have that background. You look around you today, look at the billionaires of today in the 21st century, most of them came from very humble background. Most of them started with nothing and look at where they are. But then again, there are those who were lucky enough to have a good financial foundation and they were able to make good use of that solid financial foundation and they made it an empire. But it is not always the case. If you have irresponsible inheritors, meaning if you have children who are totally irresponsible and they happen to take over your financial empire or your business empire, they are likely to just squander everything and leave nothing for society or maybe for your legacy or anything. They squander all your wealth or your riches and stuff like that. But when you have, that's one thing that can be said of President Trump. I know a lot of people don't want to hear about President Trump, but I'll tell you this. Man inherited S amount of money from his dad, Trump, Joseph Trump or so. And he was able to make good use of that money to build himself into an empire. You see, it takes a sense of direction. So you have to give the man his props for being able to use his inheritance to better himself. But there are lots of people who didn't do that, who would just live a life of luxury, enjoy themselves, go traveling, not trying to do good for themselves. Every man is different. Every person is different. In the Bible, you heard of the prodigal son who fed his dad, his father was rich enough, and felt he deserved his own inheritance and took his inheritance and went and blew it. His other brother made good use of his inheritance, whereas he himself went and squandered everything. When he was broke and nothing left, he found his way back home and was willing to settle for just be a servant in the household. But his father would not have any of that. He wanted his son back in the same way and accorded him the respect that he felt his son should deserve. But yes, though that story is a testament of how we can be allowed to come back to the kingdom of God after we've squandered all our opportunities, and our promise, God's promise, of course. So, not trying to delve into biblical nuances, we're going to be focused here on some of these trajectories of life, how sometimes the visibility of life, or when you are visible enough to have something that works for you, that can benefit you, and that thing can take you way into the future. Not everyone is lucky. A lot of people are not so lucky. There are those, I remember reading this book, a long time ago. It was about the stock market, and there was this guy that invested all he had into the stock market. When the stock market went bust and things went bad, he committed suicide. Unfortunately, that is not always the case. So that goes with the old cliche that you never put all your eggs in one basket. Just because you think a stock is going to do very well doesn't mean you should put all your money into that stocks. If that stock should fail, then you'll go down with the stocks. Look at what happened with Aaron, for example. Aaron's fall was sudden. No one thought it would happen in 2001, but it failed. It failed. But that's besides the point. That was a digression. But the main topic here is about the visibility of life. How sometimes we can let life's visibility take us places or even leave us behind in the saddle of life. That can often happen when we are not prepared for what may come. Lots of things can come in so many ways. We can have a lot of factors that may be unexpected that can quickly come from nowhere and then overtake our own opportunities. And before we know it, we fall by the wayside. That is why we have to always make good use of the opportunities that we have. I remember a long time ago, someone told me, said, people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. When you fail to plan and you don't make good use of the opportunities that you have, you are likely to put yourself in a situation where you start facing challenges. Look at COVID-19, for example. When COVID struck, it came from nowhere. And before you know it, companies, organizations started to close down. Those who did not have rainy day funds found themselves without resources, found themselves broke. A lot of them became homeless, couldn't afford to pay their rent or their mortgages, and the government had to give them some kind of reprieve for them to be able to survive, some kind of rental, through with the landlords and so forth, so that way they can be off the streets, so that way they don't become homeless. So those are the things. So events can often overtake life. Yeah, overtake life. When sudden events happen and takes you unawares, you can find yourself in a situation where you are grappling. You are trying to find yourself. And if you are not ready for that moment, you will find that you are being left behind by everyone in society. I remember a few years back, there was this hurricane. This hurricane came from nowhere, and people started scrambling. They left their dwellings, their homes, and got on the road. and the road was jammed. People could neither go forward nor backward. A lot of people unfortunately died in that stampede. Those are things that can happen. But the smart ones, those that thought, planned against the unexpected, were able to stay in their homes, and of course they were able to tell good stories about the incident. So be that as it may, life's visibility is being able to predict correctly how you plan to live your life successfully without any gridlock or without any derailment along life's pathway. Yes, along life's pathway. A lot of people always think, you know, should life always be smooth? Can life always be smooth? No. Life is not ever going to be smooth. It's not ever going to be a smooth sail. Even when you are born with a silver spoon, life can sometimes throw you its challenges, its curve. When you are not ready to be bold, strong, courageous, and able to use the will and the zeal that God gave you to make it through difficult times, you are likely to fall behind. Being strong is a key factor in accomplishing successes in life. Being strong, mentally strong, and physically strong. Now, you can be physically strong but mentally weak. There are lots of people you can see. You see them out there. They call them gentle giant, or they're just strong, big, but brainless, physically, mentally weak. You know, mentally weak in the sense that they won't know how to survive when the chips are down. See, being mentally strong doesn't mean that you have it all physically. And being physically strong doesn't mean you have it all mentally. You can be mentally strong and able to wade through life's difficulties. You can be physically strong and not able to wade through life's difficulties because you just don't have it in you to do that. It's like in boxing, for example. You see someone like Tyson Fury, huge, behemoth, mountainous, and then you have a guy that is half his size, we just punch and put him out. We saw that with that Ukrainian current heavyweight champion, how he defeated, Tyson Fury twice, and that guy is barely anywhere near the size of Tyson Fury. That is so much like life. What that guy, the Ukrainian heavyweight champion, has is mental toughness compared to physical toughness. While Tyson Fury had a physical, prowess and ability, but he did not have the mental toughness. So the Ukrainian fighter had the mental toughness and was able to use that to outsmart Tyson Fury and defeated Tyson Fury twice. That is so much like life. Mental toughness. Just because you see someone is big, like a giant, doesn't mean that they are all about that. You can outsmart them. Look at Floyd Mayweather, how he fought all his fights and came out undefeated, retired undefeated. It wasn't like Floyd Mayweather is a big guy, but he fought so many big guys and was able to outsmart them because he had that mental toughness. So it's that little guy, Adrian Davieson or something like that, little guy, barely 5'4", and he takes out his opponents because he has that mental toughness. So again, that is pretty much what life is about. You have to have the mental toughness to be able to wade through life and overcome any obstacle that you may face. because you're going to always face obstacles. It is your mental toughness that will see you through the day. Hey, we're going to end it tonight. As you can see, I'm still in the office. Let's chat again tomorrow. Until tomorrow, have a great one. And of course, don't forget, tomorrow morning we're going to have church. And as often the case, we want you to join and enjoy service with us. Thank you, and may yours always be bright. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.